We are going to start with a presentation on technology. There were several of you that raised questions about technology, especially as it impacts development services. So I've asked Jason Kirkland to spend some time giving you a status report on various initiatives regarding New World and some development type projects. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Jason.
Thank you very much. I'll be the first one to test to see if this works. Does that work? Everybody hear me? First off, I wanted to say that our director, Chris Lee, was not able to make it today. Can you hear me? There we go.
There you go.
Our director, Chris Lee, was not able to make it today. His wife is very ill, so he's been at home with her, and so he asked me if I would do the presentation today. As Ms. Barron said, I'm just going to do a very quick overview of IT and New World and its status, and some in-house development that we've been doing. So first off, I just want to give you a quick overview of your IT department. We are comprised of 25 full-time staff members, plus, as you see in these gray dotted or dashed boxes down here, we have 7 to 10 interns that also help out our department. IT is broken up into 5 main areas. We have user support, network systems, GIS, and analytics. Those are the 5 main areas of IT. Just some quick numbers about our IT department and what we support. We have 885 internal users. As I said previously, we have 25 full-time IT staff supporting that group. We have 2 data centers, one at the Annex and one at Old Town City Hall. We have 550 users approximately on our public Wi-Fi each day. Our storage capacity is 1.5 million gigabytes. For anybody who's in tech, that's 1.5 petabytes, but I didn't think that sounded as impressive. We support 974 PCs, 318 cameras, and we have approximately 30 miles of fiber optic cabling doing a ring connecting all of our various facilities. That was a council initiative many years ago, and it's allowed us to have lightning speed connecting all of the various campuses in the city. So on the topic of New World, the New World system, as you may recall, was bought in 13. It was designed to be an enterprise application that was going to support many departments. A lot of what it was doing was replacing the previous application called HTE. The main areas that we want to support with the New World application are finance, HR, and then a lot of things in the inspection and permitting area: licensing, permitting, planning, code enforcement, building inspections, fire inspections, health inspections, engineering inspections. As you can tell, we were trying to address a large number of city functions with one application. That gives us a lot of benefits from data integrity standpoint, data interoperability. For instance, all of these systems share the same address list from being on the business analytics side. If you have a master set of addresses, that is amazing in what we're able to do with other things such as mapping and analysis. So, a quick rundown of where we stand right now with those various areas in the New World application. We have finance and HR, they're working fine. Licensing and permitting, they're working fine. Planning and engineering are working fine, but they're still implementing a couple of areas in there. The main issue that we've had that you may have heard about is in the field. So our inspections area, code enforcement, fire inspections, health inspections, engineering inspections. The New World application was not designed to run on something like an iPad, something that's easy to use when you're standing out in the field. The New World application was written for a desktop environment where you have a mouse and you get to hover over drop-down menus. And there's a lot of menus, and a lot, really too many for our inspectors out in the field to be able to do their jobs efficiently. So we started to address that issue. On the fire inspection side, what we did was move them over to the fire department's new records management system. It's a company called Emergency Reporting. So fire inspections is now using that software. They're very happy with it. It's a cloud-based system. Code enforcement. Code enforcement is the next one that we address. There we decided to do a complete rewrite and wrote it ourselves in-house. We wrote it very specific to the exact things that code enforcement needs to do. Before going to New World, code enforcement was on a custom written application. It was done in the Lotus Note software, so a very ancient platform. And so at first we thought that going to the New World system would be a very big boon for them, but as we found out, the interface just really wasn't set up for a mobile environment. So as I said, that one has now been rewritten. Building inspections is still using New World. There is a new interface from New World that building inspections gets to use. It is more mobile friendly, there are less clicks, and so we're hoping that we'll have success with that one. But if not, developing a custom solution for them is always an option. Health inspections has the same platform now. So I talked a little bit about how we developed a new system for code enforcement to use, where we gave them the exact things that City of Louisville processes can entail. We do that in-house. These are the two divisions I happen to be over, analytics and GIS. And the three main things that my area tries to do is to make data accessible, make processes efficient, and make the information meaningful. Unfortunately, we have data spread out through 50 or 60 databases throughout the city, and it's difficult sometimes to get a global picture of that. So what my group is responsible for is trying to take that information, put it together, and make it so that it makes sense to everybody, and so that we can see things that were never, at least according to the software, they were never intended to talk to each other. Some examples of things that we've done in-house. The AVL, many of you probably have not actually seen the AVL, and that's because it's for police and fire. It shows the police and fire vehicle locations up to date per second. We actually do a per second update on GPS for police and fire. It also shows the calls that are going on. It shows the live CAD notes that are being entered by the dispatchers, and so police officers in the field, the fire units in the field, they can see all of that. It's also mobile friendly. They can get it on their phone if they want to. That system is similar to what I have up here. This one is actually for the non-public safety vehicles. And this right here is showing you a live map of where all the non-public safety vehicles are in Louisville right this moment. The one interesting side effect, I'm excited about the GPS and storing it every second. That system we've been doing that now for just over a year, and we have 379 gigabytes of data. Enormous. It's the largest database that we have in the city now, and that's just from 1 year of collecting per second GPS updates. We also have our maps.cityoflouisville.com. This is our primary interface now for the public and for city employees to be able to see all of the GIS layers, not all of the ones we have published out here. We developed this in-house. There are other solutions that don't require custom code, but our users really like to have the Google Map interface. They like to have Street View. They like to have all the things they're used to seeing in a consumer world. So we wrote this one to be able to take the best of both worlds. Metrics.cityoflouisville.com, which many of you have already seen. This was another in-house initiative. This system here doing lots of amazing things to be able to pull stats live. We also have a couple others. We built our own app builder inside. We're able to take paper processes that staff has and turn them into small apps. The City Manager's Projects app that you've all seen, and our CIP Reports app. The AVL, as I mentioned, it's a system that, and this is not a live picture, but this is what it looks like to everybody as you're seeing the vehicles move around. You see where calls are, you see the notes coming in. It's made up, it pulls data from our CAD system, our GPS system, and our GIS database. The maps that we talked about has interactivity. You can even query down if you wanted to. For instance, on the zoning layer, you could actually turn on just general business or just light industrial. Metrics.cityoflouisville.com, we're pulling data from 17 databases. So my staff, they use the SQL SQL language in the back to write these queries, pull information from all these various systems, merge it together, and then working with Gina and city management come up with the actual metrics, ways to measure things. We currently have 69 live metrics. When I say live, I mean we've written a query, and this system here is updated every 20 minutes where we cache the information and display it back to the public. So this is very up-to-date information about what's going on in the city. I have 5 staff members that write those queries, and it includes charts, tables, and maps. So sometimes we go with third-party applications, New World, emergency reporting. Sometimes we build in-house applications such as the code enforcement application, the ones that we went over just a second ago. In-house applications, the main pros to doing it in-house is that we can do things very specific to Louisville's needs. We can integrate data across software platforms. That code enforcement application pulls its address list directly from our GIS system. It pulls other information from the New World system. And so we're able to integrate that all together, which is really what we need to do analysis. But we can also do rapid bug fixes on things that we create. If somebody comes across a bug, we can get fixed pretty fast. Third party can't do those things as well. But what a third party application does do for you though, is that it can do the large complex application development. My staff can't do that. We're not big enough and able to create those types of applications. But a benefit of a third party app though is that other people may come from other cities, other organizations, and go, oh yeah, I've used that before. I can step right in and start to use it here. With a custom app, they're not going to have that experience with that. Staffing levels to support the applications. Long-term support of a application is something we have to consider every time we make it. And so a big company, they hire enough staff. As they get more customer base, they hire more staff to be able to do that. That's a little more difficult for us. In conclusion, New World, overall, we've addressed most of the problems that were going on, and so our personnel in the field are more productive now. And regarding in-house development and analytics, it takes us significant staff time to produce these and support these applications, and as we have been successful with them, the number of requests that we have are increasing.
Council, do you have any questions of Jason? Jason, you might talk a little bit about, I know council has wanted some specific reports related to development services, like the status of a piece of property. Would you talk a little bit about where we are on that?
Yes, ma'am. So one of the goals that we have is to be able to eventually provide you with the ability to look up a property and see everything that we know about that property. I've worked on that for many years. We've, as I was talking about earlier, addressing and matching is the main problem that we're running into. All of these systems end up using a different set of addresses, but they're never spelled the same. I've come across 30-something different ways to identify I-35. It's just unbelievable. It's very hard for us sometimes to match up all the things that went on a specific property, but we are working on that. Our goal is to be able to provide you things like all the permitting that has gone on our property, all the code enforcement violations, any police activity that's gone on there, special event permit, any of those things. We want to be able to provide you with that type of lookup capability. We've had a miniature version of that that we hope to roll out to you soon, which is the ability to look up code enforcement history only. We'll expand that as we're able to allow you to look up other history on an address. But this application is going to let you look up an address and see all the current violations that are going on, any historical violations that are going on. We're also including a map with it so you can kind of get a quick overview of where are the hotspots where we have code enforcement violations in town.
And Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, but like for the police ones, a lot of those are not specific address. Those are going to be a range, like the 800 block of Main Street.
Yes, sir, that's absolutely right. Block ranges are an ongoing issue when I'm trying to analyze information. So sometimes what we end up having to do is take a block range and make sure that it is not matched to an address. We actually have a handful of addresses in town where the address is at 1000 West Main Street, and that's also a block range, 1000 West Main Street. So in some of our systems, it's difficult to know, was the incident at 1000 West Main Street, or was that the block? And so when we write these reports, what we want to make sure of is that we're not showing that 1000 West Main Street, the address, actually has like a high number of traffic stops, because it doesn't. The block range has a high number of traffic stops, maybe in that area, but not the address. Yes, block ranges are, in fact, when we look at addressing, we typically break it down as an address point and address block ranges, and we deal with those separately.
So council, the benefit of having someone like Jason on staff and his team is that we are able to respond. We've got a feedback issue. He's working on that. Frantically working on it. And so we are able to respond to more of specific issues. Certainly there's an additional cost related to having that ability, but one that I believe is very worthwhile, especially when you look at something like our performance metrics, where we're very open with our residents, and they can come in and they can drill down and find out various issues about about their budget and what's going on in their fire and police services. So it brings a tremendous amount of value, I believe. Council, are there any other questions related to technology and where we are? Our next big project that we're going to be undertaking will relate to our public safety CAD and RMS system. We're out right now looking at different vendors and should have that selection complete very quickly. I see the chief shaking his head yes, and we'll be moving forward on that also. What's made a lot of this possible, and Jason showed you the organizational chart earlier, what's made this possible are those business analyst positions that we've actually put in all of our larger departments. And those people become very familiar with the data as well as the processes in those departments, and that makes, I think, all the difference.
Yes, ma'am.
The last time I rode with code enforcement, which was a couple of years ago, Jason was just working on an overlay for them to help, and the amount of clicking and activities that they had to do just to simply tag a code enforcement issue was mind-numbingly obnoxious. And so to watch Jason as he works through that, you know, as long as we can support building it in-house, I think it's outstanding for a city our size. That's uncommon.
It is uncommon.
You guys are doing a phenomenal job. I'm seeing it when I ride along with our officers and when I ride along with code enforcement. Don't do that nearly as often as I should, but I know for a fact you guys are taking their feedback in the field and turning it into real good stuff. So
Thank you, I appreciate it.
I know you said the databases are integrated quite well. Is there still, though, some multi-data entry required, or is everything pretty well?
We struggle with data entry and having to do double entry. We try our hardest to avoid double entry wherever we can. In fact, that's one thing that my team helps with, is by saying, wait a second, we don't have to actually do that in another place. We know where it's also stored, and we can link to that and put it together into a single report. In fact, the metrics is a perfect example of that. The metric system, a lot of cities would do a system where they would require their staff to type all of these values into maybe a spreadsheet and load it up to a software platform. One of the main goals that the manager's office had for us was find a way to do this so the staff doesn't have to do extra work. They just use whatever they use every day, and they're not even thinking about the fact that you're over here needing this because it's already there. And so these systems here, all of these that you're seeing in these tables here, these are just live pulling right out of their systems. We're getting the data. In fact, we found neat things doing it. Times where we realize that, what we're measuring in for the day-to-day stuff doesn't match necessarily what we wanted to show for the monthly value. So we go back and we work and figure out what's going on. Yes, we try to avoid double entry as much as possible.
I'm happy to hear that. From personal experience, I know how difficult it is to make that happen. So.
Yes, sir. It's not easy, but we have a good time doing it. So.
City manager's report is really, I think, a perfect example of something that relieves staff in some ways of having to go and dig and find other data. We pull from a variety of sources on that report, but then the council has this at their fingertips report on every single major project, and we're also able to go in and add as backup if there's a map or if there's a prior report that we think would be certainly something that the council might want to see related to that project, we can add it. And so it's like a database for every project. And so Jason did a great job on designing that. I've had one example or one additional request, and that was if a council member is actually looking at a project, could they send an email related to that project? And Jason, I think you just about got that
Yes, sir.
ready to go.